Yeah.
This is a quick question for you. Do you, could ask Bob too, do you want to all be sworn in at the same time or individually? It's your call. I'll ask everybody.
Either way, I mean, this is old hat to me. Although, on that last sentence you say, can you break that up a little bit? That would always twist me up a little bit. I'll add on to salary resolution. You'll make it longer.
We have no choice now.
I'm really gonna make you look dumb, Ron.
You want to go individually or all together on your swearing in? Make a difference?
To me.
Okay. We'll do it all together if that's okay.
I say we've got a lot of stuff going on. Let's just get it all done at once.
I got it. I'm with you. I'll call the December 15th, 2025 City Council meeting to order. We'll rise to the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk call the roll, please.
Councilmember Riggs? Here. Shelby?
Here.
Armstrong?
Here.
Beach? Here. Stones? Present. Lane?
Here.
Mayor Richardson?
Present. We are going to move forward with the elected officials here and get the swearing in taken care of. We've got some folks that have family and things here that we want to get some pictures and then let them leave if they choose. So we'll follow that process first. Got a couple of certificates and introduction, and then we'll get into public comment and consent agenda from there. So at this point in time then, I guess, Jackie, you get to swear me in and we'll go from there. You have that? Oh, here it is.
No.
Okay, raise your right hand. There we go.
Repeat after me. I, Steve Richardson,
I, Steve Richardson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially,
and impartially,
to the best of my
to
ability,
the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
of a mayor of the City of Indianola,
of the Mayor of the City of Indianola,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now or hereafter required by law. Thank you, Jackie. You bet. Thank you.
I'm gonna have you come in front of the TV just for reflection.
Yeah, somebody want to grab my coat and stand up here? Here. Okay. I will have each one of the other elected officials come up, please. We'll do Tiffany, if you want to come on up here. Have you hold that
Someone's doing it
for
all.
a moment. Bob? Sorry about that. All right, I am going to ask you then at the very beginning here to make sure that you, one second, make sure that you, when I say aye in your name, just don't say aye in your name, I say,
Say my actual name.
yeah. Okay, raise your right hand, please. I, your name,
I, Ron Dalby,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United
and
States,
the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
To the best of my ability.
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
of council member, City of Indianola,
of a council member of the City of Indianola,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now and hereafter required by law.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Family up, Tiffany.
Hold over this way. Him, smile big. Look right here and smile big, okay? 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. One more. 3, 2, 1.
All right, Rob, we get to bring you up.
Too quick.
I'm gonna get on this side so we can get your picture there. How's that sound? All right, raise your right hand. I, Rob Hawkins,
I, Rob Hawkins,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
of a police chief of the City of Indianola, Iowa,
of the Police Chief of the City of Indianola, Iowa,
as now or hereafter required by law.
as now or hereafter required by law.
Congratulations, Rob. Glad to have you on board. Absolutely, yeah. And your family, you bet. Congratulations again. You haven't taken that face out.
No, it's good. And we gotta figure this out.
More people in the front.
Lots in the back.
You too, yeah.
Remember, look right here. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Do one more. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Me and my
Oh.
Oops, sorry.
All right.
Coming to you.
I'll come to you.
Congrats.
Trying to find you.
I'll join the party.
Man. Show your name.
At this time, I'm going to have Andrew Swadner come up front here. I want to read a certificate of merit to Andrew. Andrew is taking, his family's moving to Minnesota. Will no longer, after a few weeks here, be KNI radios. Andrew, sorry to have you leave. So this is what we're saying here, certificate of merit to Andrew Swadner. In recognition of your dedication to radio broadcasting and a commitment to sharing Indianola stories, the City of Indianola sincerely thanks you for your 10 years of service at KNIA 94.3 Your efforts played a vital role in keeping citizens of Indianola informed and engaged as a trusted voice, a valued partner, and we deeply appreciate your thoughtful local news and sports coverage and the meaningful impact you've made across our community. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Three, two, one. 3, 2, 1. One more. 3, 2, 1.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks again. Appreciate everything. You bet. You bet. I have one more.
At least he warned me that time.
Christina, would you come forward, please? This is a recognition of service to Christina for her term as Indianola City Council member. Whereas Christina Beach was elected as a city council member in 2021, and whereas Councilmember Beach took office in January 2022, and whereas during her term in office, Councilmember Beach represented the 4th Ward of the City of Indianola by keeping the best interests of the community at heart in all her decisions, and whereas during her term in office, Councilmember Beach served the community in many other roles, such as city's representative on the South Central Landfill Board, and alternate on the Warren County Emergency Management, and whereas in addition to her city council duties, Councilmember Beach exhibited her love and commitment to the community by influencing improvement projects such as the South Cape paving project and supporting public safety services. And whereas Councilmember Beach and her valuable contributions to this council and passion for the community will be missed. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor of the City of Indianola, Iowa, that Councilmember Beach service to the community is recognized and appreciated. I had a hard time getting through that myself, so there you go.
Here, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. One more. 3, 2, 1. All good.
Great. Thank you.
I'm trying to get the sync here.
Leaves.
Jake, you introduce. Thanks. Hey, girls, Tiffany, girls, please come back and see us again, would you? Okay.
I was to stay, I was like, I don't know,
All
tonight's
right,
agenda.
see you later. Okay. Jake, you want to go ahead and introduce our Public Works Director, please?
Yeah, Eric, if you want to step forward, we're excited to introduce Eric Stevens. He is our new Public Works Director, a couple weeks on the job now. Eric comes to us with over 25 years of experience in the public works field. He has a master's degree in civil and environmental engineering. He got a law degree for fun as well. Eric has worked for a number of years in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. He also worked in the private sector, and most recently ran his own engineering consulting firm, serving as the managing principal engineer. So, Eric, very excited to have you here, and open the floor to you if you want to say a few words.
Oh, well, I'm really excited to be here. I think that City of Indianola has a great foundation to build upon. It's got that small town feel with large town amenities, and I think it's a great place to be. I feel excited. I feel like that there's just a lot of potential here for growth and for and building upon what you've been able to establish thus far. So some of the things we're working on that are exciting, improving the quality of the roads throughout the community, and looking at storm drainage. Storm drainage comes first. We're looking at roadways, making sure that we've got a good way of conveying those stormwater flows so we can maintain good pavement. And when we replace, that it's going to last, be sustainable. The other thing is looking at the wastewater treatment processes, making sure we continue to keep that maintained and functioning very well. You have a state-of-the-art facility there, which is wonderful. There aren't too many facilities like that with a city this size. So it's really it's a gem, even if you don't love wastewater like I do. The other thing would be just maintaining the collection system, making sure that things are running. You have a lot of lift stations, those need to be powered. And I think there are just a lot of good opportunities here to work with staff. And I think Jake is doing a great job as city administrator, city manager. So thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate your time and look forward to working with you greatly. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome. Okay, we're going to move on to public comment. If you would like to comment on anything tonight that is on the agenda, we'll give an opportunity to do that. If you want to make some comments, please fill out a form back. I believe they're back on the table back there, and get those to Jackie, if you would, please. Otherwise, if there's anybody that'd like to make any public comments at this point in time, please come forward. Seeing none, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Yeah, are there anything that we need to pull, or do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. Jake, you want to run through those, please?
Yep, starting with the approval applications, we've got several liquor licenses that are up for renewal. Brick Houses expires on the 31st, Sports Page also expires on the 31st. The third one down expires on the 18th, the fourth one down expires on December 23rd. For the first three, staff has already reviewed the applications and completed the inspections. For Sticks and Balls, the inspection is scheduled for tomorrow. 5 and 6, we just have a couple of amendments updating the current owners on the liquor licenses for administrative purposes. Item E is the third consideration of ordinance amending the recycling rates. This will increase those rates by 29 cents per month to account for recycling services as well as the citywide cleanup operations. Item F is a resolution appointing city of Olean representation to the Des Moines Metropolitan Planning Organization and the Central Iowa Regional Transportation Alliance. The technical committee is comprised of staff members and the policy committee is comprised of council members. This will appoint Bryce Johnson to the MPO, technical committee, Eric to the SERPTA committee, and then I will be appointed as the backup to both of those. For policy representatives, it will be Bob Lane as the primary and Melissa Sones as the alternate for the MPO, and then Melissa Sones as the primary and Ron Dalby for the alternate on SERPTA. Item G is a resolution authorizing a provider participation agreement with the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services for the Ground Emergency Medical Transportation Uncompensated Cost Prospective Payment Program. We have been involved with this since 2022. This program allows government-owned emergency medical service providers to receive federal Medicaid reimbursement for uncompensated costs associated with transporting Medicaid patients. Participation requires the execution of this provider participation agreement in compliance with federal and state regulations, Iowa Medicaid policies, and annual cost reporting obligations. This program does not change the services that the city provides, but allows for recovery of eligible costs already incurred. Item H, this agreement works in tandem with the GEMT Provider Participation Agreement, which is the previous item, to enable our full participation in the state's GEMT Supplemental Payment Program. Item I is the approval of submission of the 2025 quarter 3 utility write-offs to the state set-off program for collection. Past due sewer, recycling, and stormwater fees to be sent to the state set-off program for collection. This program withholds tax refunds and gambling or lottery winnings for those individuals who have delinquent bills submitted by the city. The past due balances total $4,870.91 on 63 accounts. The majority of those are comprised of sewer bills. Item J would be setting abatement for 4 properties. And then item K would set salaries for a couple of police union positions that have some movement, as well as the police chief.
Any questions? Hearing none? Hearing none?
I have a question.
Okay.
The item G and H, do these changes have any impact to staff time?
Sorry, can you,
Aaron Hurd, Fire Chief, 110 North First Street. Can you repeat what your question was?
Do the changes have any impact to the amount of staff time spent on these?
No, this is simply just an additional reimbursement program that the federal government states and both are establishes and then is shared by the states and the federal government. We do return the state's portion back as part of the agreement. It's dictated by a report that is created every year that's based on mileage and a schedule based on the assets, a depreciation schedule. And so it's a fixed amount that we have every year that's an additional to every Medicaid or Medicare transport that we do.
There's a little bit of staff time for the report, but not much.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Any other comment? Hearing none, clerk call the roll, please.
Councilmember Rabe?
Aye.
Selby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Beach?
Aye.
Sones?
Aye.
Lane?
Motion carries 6-0. Council committee reports, I think Melissa has a couple, but she's gonna hold those until the January meeting, I think, if that's okay, if that's, items, is that correct?
Correct.
Any other council committee reports? All right, community update. Couple things, tonight, after the meeting, everyone is invited to, attend. We're just gonna have a little gathering at, Brick House upstairs, I believe, is that correct? And anybody is welcome, public is welcome at that as well, and if you'd like to join us, that's fine. It's just a chance to share a little Christmas cheer and, wish everybody a happy holidays. Also, just one other thing that I've got, I know there's a lot of things going on, holiday-wise. If anybody's interested and knows, Mayor Merrifield from Carlisle, they're having a party for him on Friday from 3 to 5, I think it is, at City Hall. He has been 29 years in city government in Carlisle, and, it, is a chance for everybody, anybody that's, had a chance to work with him to send him off to retirement, although he jokes about his list from his wife is very long to get completed, so. The other things that are going on mainly will be items that staff will put together here the next couple of weeks. I'll have a mayor's memo out again this week, starting January 7th. Is the first coffee for the mayor at the Cross Cafe at 9 a.m. Chief Hawkins will be there as also to answer some questions and a chance to introduce himself to members of the community, if anybody is interested. January 12th, we're hoping to have John Pauley's Simpson class come in and talk about House File 718. They did a great job in presentation. Councilmember Lane and I were at the presentation, and it was just fantastic for having a bunch of kids that delved into property taxes and how they all work and everything, and we'll have them in, and they want to do a presentation in front of the council, so we'll have them in at that time. With that, I'll conclude the community update. We'll move into old business here. Resolution approving additional funding for the downtown facade program project. I believe you are up, Bryce, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This works. Excellent. So as the mayor mentioned today, quick background on the project, the Community Development Block Grant. The city did receive the CDBG, I'll use that acronym quite often tonight, CDBG Block Grant in the amount of $650,000. That's administered through the state by through HUD and the federal government. City budgeted $350,000 to facilitate the facade improvement project. That's a 25% local match requirement per the grant criteria. And this also is in support of our comprehensive plan. There was an action item in there under the economic development portion that says that the city should consider applying for grants just like this. Here's a map. I apologize, it's a little smaller than I thought it would be to see up there, but these are the properties approved to participate in the facade improvement program with the addresses there. Just for reference, kind of in the center is the county building, so most of these on the east side and the southeast corner of the square. Further background, in 2025, the city accepted a bid from the building company, Cornerstone, in the amount of almost $1.2 million. Since the bid was accepted, costs have increased, and now there is a significant overage in the amount of $101,000. The design consultant and contractor believe that recent market conditions, including material cost increases and new domestic sourcing requirements, have contributed to the higher costs. So the situation before us tonight is obviously how do we fund the overages? One property owner owns 3 properties. Their total overage is almost $42,000, which is significantly higher than the others. The next affected property is 106 East Salem, which is about $28,000. So to reduce the cost of the overages, particularly associated with those 3 properties, the property owner and Curtis Architecture revised the scope of the work. So they removed awnings and exterior lighting, reducing it to $25,000. The property owner would have liked to have those, but in order to save some costs, they reduced the scope of the work to kind of shorten or decrease that overage cost. So the property owner is requesting the 50-50 split of the overage, so it's about $12,555 from the city, and then also the property owner. If the property owner were to withdraw the application, it would result in insufficient number of properties per the criteria of the CDBG grant thus losing the $650,000 in grant funding. I did take this item before our Community and Economic Development Subcommittee. There was great discussion. Some of the alternatives that were proposed there was to consider other funding options such as fundraising or contacting local lenders for low-interest loan programs. The property owner did work with Main Street Iowa, and unfortunately with the timeline when this is about to start construction in the spring, the time it would take to get those programs started was just not sufficient to investigate those. And they also did some fundraising opportunities, and those were exhausted. So that's why we're considering today just funding that by the city. Other considerations I noted in our staff memo today: if the additional funding is approved, the city will capture future property tax revenue from these improvements. There are and is substantial investment that's already occurred in our downtown square to support this project. The three are outlined or underlined there below: the streetscape project, comprehensive planning, obviously, and then becoming a Main Street Iowa designated community. As I mentioned earlier, the architect, Curtis Architecture, has reduced the scope of the work as much as possible to shrink that necessary overage costs. And then if the funding is approved, formal construction agreements will be brought to City Council for consideration. These agreements include identifying specific financial contributions by the property owner, so those won't change after this. Wanted to provide some insight on budget impact. So the city has already invested $161,000 in the project. That is non-refundable. It's something that's already been spent. The city budgeted $350,000, so there's a balance about $188,000, which would be refundable, just in the fact that we won't be spending it if the council decides not to cover the cost of the overages. There's also another option to consider, and it's just kind of an equity perspective. Maybe the city council decides to pay for all of the overages amongst all the property owners as, again, an equitable solution, and that would cost approximately $50,000. The gap funding amount by the city, again, is just requesting $12,550, which is proposed to come from reserves. And that, of course, calculated out as just an increase of the city's contribution of less than 1% to fund a $1.1 million improvement to our downtown square. So staff is providing council with the following options. Approved by resolution, the additional funds not to exceed that $12,550 to fund the overage gap. Another consideration would be approve no additional funding. And then obviously the other, when I'm talking about equity, equally splitting the overages of all the property owners, 50-50, like is being proposed for this one property owner, which would be $50,000, about $50,000. So those are our three options for consideration tonight, and love to answer any questions the council has.
Council, which choice?
I have a question here. Let's say we decide not to move forward at all and we forfeit it. That $188,000 that is refundable, since we haven't spent it, does that stay, is that general fund money?
Yeah.
Do you know the potential property tax increase that we would receive on this 1.3 million?
Yeah, it'd be based on whatever the assessor determines the valuation to be. I'd assume it'd probably, for $1.1 million, it'd probably be about $400,000, and then you could backtrack and calculate it per our tax levy. I don't know what that number is specifically. I can work it out real quick if I need to.
That'd be great.
I'm assuming if we didn't go through with it, it could also impact our future for grants.
Yes, that is accurate.
We would not be eligible for one.
It is staff's opinion. When we go through this process, we have a reputation when it comes to providing our matching contribution. And it may be a blemish on that reputation if we would go to apply for grants in the future.
Maybe this is a question for Allison. Let's say we proceeded with just the 12,000 gap funding. Would that leave us liable if the other business owners wanted to come to the city and say, hey, now I want that gap?
Yeah, so I think there's difference between potentially liable and what it looks like in the community, right? So if you set a precedent that you are going to do this, then the other property owners could look to that as well, but they would have to have almost identical situations. So that's why I say, like, liability wise, it's more going to be a precedent issue rather than, and you'd have to have specific, everything would have to be identical. That being said, there's probably, if you do it for one, should you do it for all, as more of just a consideration of how it looks for everyone.
I would mention on that as well, all the property owners did have an opportunity to come through and reduce scope and request this. They never made such a request. They wanted the things that were being funded as part of their program, or part of their funds, so I didn't really speak with them if they had an interest to do that, but they definitely had an opportunity, as Thomas has, to kind of request such.
They wanted to keep the awnings and the lighting and
Yep.
the design as it was drawn up.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And they were aware of this request?
We've been in constant communications through construction agreements and facade easements and all these other things and contributions.
You got a slide that talked about, and maybe you don't have to go back to it, but you have to have a, what is it, 2/3 majority of the property owners have to participate, is that correct? And if this one person decides to pull out because the funding isn't approved, then that shoots the whole thing down, is that correct?
Yeah, so there's a requirement to have at least 6 properties to participate in the program. This one property owner does own 3, so that we would fall below that criteria, that threshold to be eligible if he were to withdraw the application. Not to say that he won't, but that is a risk that would be taken if we do not provide.
And that would affect every single other business owner
Right.
that's
Mhm.
trying to do this as well.
Right.
And put us in jeopardy down the road too for any future
Right.
grants, so.
To me, this is an example of what your reserves are for, not operational budgets. I mean, I've harped on that, I know you're tired of hearing it, but these are the reasons you have reserves, in my opinion. They come forward with things like this, so I think the question is just how much we want to manage out of that.
I agree with that. I think the other building owners stand to lose more if we don't go through with the project.
As does the community, I think.
Correct. And us as well, just through property tax increase.
Mhm.
And from the subcommittee meeting too, as Councilmember Rabe and I were there, we kind of had a learning that Bryce and Jake were like, how do we maybe best work around this situation in the future too? You know, where we have 8 buildings, they have 3, you know, and to Jake's point, that can also be a good thing too, where, you know, they can push a project along potentially. So I think we'll learn from it and make adjustments down the road. But yeah, I agree with Bob that this is really what reserves are for, so.
Do you need a motion then for
Yeah,
which
with
one?
which one you wanna do.
Before we go, can I just, sorry, to be clear, we talk about reserves around here a lot, and we talk about fairness around here a lot, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna talk about fairness in another item here later. Just wanna make sure that we're all understanding that we're talking about reserves and fairness in this as we go forward, right? Not saying this isn't what reserves should be for, but, you know, we are setting a precedent and a tone for these types of things for requests in the future, even if the folks currently in it haven't asked for anything, that's wonderful. But the next time we try to do something like this, and we've set that we're willing to pay for things, which isn't bad per se, but it's a thing as we continue to talk about our budgets ad nauseum and how serious we take them and stuff like that. So just want it to be said out loud that yes, this is coming out of reserves, and if we're potentially doing only the funding on this project of $12,000, are we comfortable with our equity position with other property owners, you know? It just, I'm really struggling with that part.
I hear what you're saying, but I also look at it as we're also protecting a little bit of our investment,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, other ones that come forth, we aren't gonna have the kind of money up front invested in some of those projects as we do this. But I understand what you're saying fully, and I agree.
We'd be losing $161,000 that we've already invested.
Painful lesson, you would also clear up money in your budget. That is also in a tough spot right now.
Right.
Jake, we talked, and is there any way to recover any of the 12,000?
Nothing that we would want to put a lot of stock into. You know, there are some contingencies within this budget, so there is a chance we could recover some of it, but I would go into this fully expecting that would not come to fruition, and ultimately this would be an investment we'd be making. So I wouldn't want to mislead council and give false hope that, yeah, we may recover some of our contingencies. Is there a slim chance that happens? Yes, of course, but whatever decision is made tonight, I would go into it fully expecting to pay whatever is agreed to, in addition to the $350,000.
Okay, thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought about a year or so ago, we had a report on the improvements that have been made on our businesses in the Main Street area that had done previous renovations, and that those renovations had significant impact on the dollars that we invested. In other words, for every dollar we invested, we got X number back that was far above what we'd invested. It was before you guys were here, but I'm thinking, Jackie, do you remember that conversation?
No, I don't.
Okay. Seems to me like it was a pretty substantial increase, you know, like 7 to 1 or 8 to 1 or somewhere in that neighborhood. And so every dollar that we invest, we end up getting back because of taxes and other factors, and whether it's local option sales tax, or there's other kinds of things, because people shop, because they're attracted to the facade and the building and what's inside of it, and a number of other factors there too. But I seem to remember somewhere that came up.
I think we've had some discussions about that, and I have no doubt, I think to the point made earlier, like, this will pay for itself, right? That's not the commentary that I was offering.
No,
I think it was and I'm love all the investment that previous councils and our council have put into the square. I mean, we sat through a session on Friday. Patrick was very complimentary, right? It's one of many cases that happened, so.
Right.
I personally am just still struggling with the principle of it all when it comes to, again, the fairness discussions we've been having on a lot of topics and our budget. We'll get our money back. I'm confident.
Yeah. So the question is whether or not you want to go full 50 or whether you go 12. It comes down to precedent.
Is there a way in the future for us to not be down the $160,000 path before the overages came in? I just didn't know, I don't know what the timeline looked like there to know, like, is there a way to lock that in a little bit quicker or cleaner?
I think and Bryce may be able to speak to this more, but I think what it comes down to is that ultimately it's the architectural firm who has really received most of those dollars. So there is a level of design, so it just ends up being the city's dollars that get spent first. Yeah, so I think that's just a challenge, that there's gonna have to be some of those dollars spent before the property owners are contributing, because they're paying more for the construction, the city's paying for the design, so those are why those dollars are leading. I think a big lesson learned here, at least for me in this process, is, hopefully, again, we're able to do more of these projects in the future, is just have more clear parameters on how we handle overages. I think that was probably one of the challenges that we had, is that we didn't really have that backup plan of like, oh, we're gonna bid this out and the project's gonna come in, within bid and life will be great. We've now run into this situation where there are these overages. So again, in future projects, I would look for us just to have more intentional conversations on the front end to say, what happens if there is an overage, you know, how do we plan to address that and have that agreed to and on the front end of things, so then we can kind of avoid these on the back end and at minimum, reduce the surprises.
I think a lot of these decisions were made, you know, before we knew the severity of the revenue issues that we're having with, you know, House File 718 and some of the, just the tax laws, so, I for one, you know, I've been struggling the same as Josh has. I certainly want to see the improvements made to our downtown. It's beautiful and it can only get better. I do feel a little better knowing that the other business owners, you know, were aware of this. You know, and it decided that they didn't want to make any design changes. That helps me out a bit.
So what's your pleasure, folks? You're gonna make a motion, Christine?
Yeah, I was gonna move that we approve the resolution with the additional funds not to exceed the 12,555.70.
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. Clerk, you wanna call the roll?
Councilmember Sones,
Aye.
Lane,
Aye.
Rabe.
Aye.
Dalby,
Aye.
Armstrong,
Aye.
Beach.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Got your answer. On to new business. Amended and restated 1998 citywide urban revitalization plan. Public hearing regarding amendments to the residential property tax abatement program. I need a motion to enter into a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion a second. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Beach,
Aye.
Sones,
Aye.
Lane,
Aye.
Rabe,
Aye.
Dalby,
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
We are in the public hearing. This is Bryce. Is this you?
Yes, sir. So as the mayor mentioned, tonight we are considering an amendment to the urban revitalization plan, which is associated with the property tax abatement program here in the city. So just for further background here, city staff provided updates to the council on the residential property tax abatement program in September and November of this year. And then also our current residential abatement schedule is up there on the screen. It's a 5-year sliding scale that starts at 100% and it depreciates by 20% every year. This applies for all new home constructions or for homes with improvements exceeding 10% of the assessed value. I outlined some discussion points in your staff memo tonight. To summarize those, Indianola is the only remaining community in Warren County with residential tax abatement for new construction homes. Norwalk terminated theirs in December 2024, and Carlisle terminated theirs in March of 2024. House File 718 has caused budgetary restrictions by forcing tax levies down for communities that are growing. And that was kind of, when I talked with these other communities, that was a direct impact of why they decided to terminate their residential tax abatement programs for new construction. Further discussion items. In July 2024, the state code was amended to exempt the school levy from the abatement program. So the school district's levy is $17.69 per $1,000 of assessed value. So basically that means the school district is exempt from the abatement program. So even if you were told that you get abatement, you will still get a tax bill for almost, if you look at the example up there, if a new home is assessed $350,000, you're still gonna be paying almost $3,000 in taxes to the school district, and the city would get zero of that. The school district's levy accounts for almost 50% of the total tax rate, where the city's tax levy is about 35%. If this is not communicated to new home buyers, it can cause frustrations when property owners receive a tax bill. So a little bit of educating that needs to occur. On November 10th, 2025, City Council directed staff to provide an amendment to remove new construction from the residential abatement program. The amendments to this plan include the following. Number one, it removes new construction of residential structures from a tax abatement eligibility, and that would begin after February 1st of 2027. So next year, we would still have the abatement, and that just allows projects that are already in the hopper to kind of get through their progress or their program and get that abatement that they were essentially provided. Number two is to add state mandated provisions that became effective last year. Those were never updated when that came through, requiring that the school levy be exempt from the abatement program, and also minimum assessment agreements be written and signed for commercial abatements. And then number three, more importantly, something to make note of, that improvements to existing residential structures will still be eligible. So this termination only applies to new construction as proposed. Other items to consider, I think it should be noted that newly constructed homes actually receive a 5-year abatement, just in the manner of which taxes are collected in arrears. Usually when you buy a new home, you're only being taxed on the land. So that takes 18, 24 months to hit the full tax roll. So that 5 years is actually about a 7-year if you look at it in the way the taxes are collected. I think there's also a fairness and equity component. New homes get the benefit of community services without technically having to pay for them, as they're not paying taxes. I think the city can utilize tax increment financing to incentivize developers rather than passing the tax savings to the property owner. And then another thing to consider, the housing market has shifted since 2008 and even more since 2020. The residential tax abatement program for new homes was more of a competitive advantage during times of lower housing costs. Their increase in recent years has caused a significant tax revenue impact that was not originally planned for. Budget impact, again, mentioned in the staff report. Data shows that the city loses approximately $65,000 per year in tax revenue due to 100% abatement given in the first year. That's based again on the 5-year sliding tax schedule, and that's assuming that 50 homes are built. Previously, we threw around the number of 52,000, and that number was 52,000 just because we had an assumption that we would only average 40 new homes. In 2025, so far to date, we've done 65,000. So when these taxes hit full assessed value, there would be approximately $65,000 lost in potential revenue at that 100% abatement. Over a 10-year period, the cumulative revenue gap remains notable in the early years, even though it narrows as abated properties begin paying full taxes. And then also, new abatement applications are able to be submitted and approved every year. So the city will remain in this recurring cycle of reduced revenue. We never really hit that long-term fiscal benefit of full taxation. Here is some historical data since 2020 that shows number of homes built. And we can go through calculations, but that just shows the amount of general fund revenue foregone year over year. Since 2020, we've foregone $415,000 in property taxes. Recommendation is that City Council approve a resolution for implementation of the Amendment Number 2 to the amended and restated 1998 Citywide Urban Revitalization Plan. Happy to take any questions.
Bryce, what happens with some of the developments now where the dirt's been moved, it's sitting there waiting for homes to be built?
Yeah, developers have an ability to submit a prior authorization, basically, that allows them to start the abatement program now. And then when the final construction and a certificate of occupancy is approved, then they can apply for a final abatement. So if they get their application in the hopper, it'd still be eligible to receive those benefits.
Prior to February of 27?
Yes, sir.
So Emerald Bay, for example, all that exposed dirt, for lack of a better way to put it right now, would still be eligible if they
were to
filed that
submit-
before?
Yeah, if they were to submit
27?
it. Well, so that's part of a tax increment financing project, and we cannot overlap both
Sure, no,
abatement and
okay,
tax
I
increment.
didn't realize that.
Yes. But if the TIF were to go away, then I mean, it's a possibility.
Okay, thank you.
So the random lots that are out there being built on that developer wants to build, though they could file for that certificate.
Absolutely.
Take advantage of.
Yeah, and a lot of developers actually do that. They'll submit it on behalf of a future property owner. It's called, again, that prior authorization, basically. It just says, we plan to submit this when the CO, certificate of occupancy, is finalized and approved. And then when they receive that, then you can go through final abatement.
They know they're in the build process, they just are looking for that buyer.
And I did have the county auditor and assessor's offices look at this amendment. They did get back to me today and said that they were also in favor of this, just from an administrative perspective. It does alleviate a lot of workload from them as well.
So recap your proposal then on the, number is just, on the, so you're looking at 75, what's the abatement then for, existing homes that make improvements? What's gonna be the requirement there?
It's anything that increases the assessed value over 10%, which is what the standard is right now.
Okay, and then that abatement will be what percentages?
They follow the same percentage as we have outlined today. We're not changing anything to the.
So it's 180, so for residential home improvement?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
When we kind of first started talking about this, we kind of put the assumption out there that if we did away with the abatement, that, you know, we could possibly lose new home construction up to 20%, right? I don't know, if clearly we don't have data that proves it one way or the other, but that was kind of an assumption that we had made. On an email we got on November 10th, there was a modeling fiscal impact graph in there. And it showed taxes at the current, at a 5-year alternate, a 3-year model, no abatement, minus that 20% assumption, and then no abatement with keeping construction as it currently is. And looking at that model, if you looked at the 3-year model, the amount of taxes we would receive is actually greater than the no abatement with that 20% drop in new construction. I just don't know if everyone had seen that model or not, or had, I think that's something we need to consider here. I'm a little leery of just shutting the faucet off and then what happens to our new construction. And looking at that 3-year model, that seems to be a 14% increase over what we currently get in taxes. Just wanted to throw that out there.
So you're asking to maybe consider a 3-year model of what? Is it like 86, what is it?
No. What they used, if I think I'm right, Brad, I pulled up that slide, it's 75, 60, 45.
Okay. So you get 25% regardless right up front.
Right off the top.
And that's the state, is that the state process?
That's
right?
for designations for annex properties. That's the only place in state code that has a schedule.
Okay.
Yep. I think it would be important to note, you know, there are other incentive opportunities to attract new home developers through TIF and tax increment financing, just like what was done for Emerald Bay. I think the real question is who we want to incentivize. Is it a property owner, or is it gonna be the builder? The builder's gonna, if we want to incentivize builders, giving them reimbursements for public improvements, I would believe would be a stronger sell to a developer than saying, we're gonna abate the property taxes for the property owner at the future. And I've seen that demonstrated successfully in many communities.
So you're saying infrastructure, roads, sewer, water, those kinds of things
Yes, sir.
would be rebated?
Yep. And we can be more
In the TIF.
strategic in those reimbursements, by identifying what we want to reimburse them for.
That drives down the lot price
Theoretically, yes.
for the buyers.
Yeah, theoretically.
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 Theoretically, yes.
They gotta pass it on.
That is what is going to attract developers, is helping them, assisting them. When we provide abatement for property owners, I can't guarantee that the abatement is for people that live here. It could be a rental company that's taking advantage of that 5-year sliding scale and sells that to somebody else in the future at a higher rate or a higher selling price. So there's also those considerations we need to think about when talking about who's really benefiting from the abatement.
Any comments from the public? Anyone wishing to speak? If you do, please give your name and make sure it pertains to the issue at hand.
My name is Emily Lampman. I reside at 1209 North Buxton Street. I've been a local realtor here in Indianola for over 16 years. Just thank you to the council and Mayor Richardson for allowing our comment tonight in favor of local tax abatement. I believe we can all agree that we do not want to continue anything that would financially harm our city or impact the future of our community in any negative way. Tax abatement plays a large part in my work every day. I sold real estate during a time in Indianola that we struggled to bring builders and developers into our community. We had empty lots and no one to build on them. We fought hard to get builders to commit to Indianola, to invest in our community, and to build homes for more people to come to our town. The City of Indianola's website specifically states regional developers have committed or commented that having an abatement program can influence where they develop. I hope we can all agree that we don't want to push out or lose the builders that have chosen to develop here in Indianola. We need to give builders a reason to choose Indianola, and we need to give home buyers a reason to choose Indianola. Tax abatement is a nod to both of those. It's a wonderful tool that sets Indianola apart from other areas of the metro that may allow a buyer to choose us over other communities. It is also a tool that helps builders to market their homes that they're selling in Indianola, as well as highlighting our great community. Although we generally think of new construction with tax abatement, it can also be used with when an existing homeowner chooses to remodel or rehab their home, something I think many people are not aware of. However, I believe something that we need to all remember about new construction tax abatement is that when local homeowners choose to purchase a new construction home, it is likely that they're selling their current Indianola home and freeing up more affordable housing in Indianola as they move up. The under $300,000 price point is a price we struggle to have inventory in. By eliminating tax abatement on new construction, we would hate to see that market shrink and impact the availability of homes across many price points in our town. When looking at other areas that have dropped their abatement programs, we've mentioned Norwalk, Carlisle, Urbandale, and Ankeny. I would like you to please recognize those areas are not the same as Indianola. Yes, they are geographically connected to the metro. They do not struggle to get developers, both residentially and commercially. There's development happening all over those communities. We fight comments in our industry all the time about how far south Indianola is from the metro. Sometimes people won't consider our town because it is so far from Des Moines. Believe that or not, we hear it. I would hate for us to stack the disadvantages against us. Further location, no tax abatement or incentives, and then minimal new options for home buyers to consider. I understand that TIF has been discussed as an alternative, but in my experience, I find that the land developer benefits from that, but very rarely does the builder, and almost never does the homeowner. Should the current 5-year tax abatement plan be causing the financial issues to the city that we're hearing about tonight, I'd encourage the council to look at options for a shorter abated program, maybe 3 or 4 years, possibly reducing the 100% incentive off the first year. Start at 75%, move down from there. Eliminating it entirely could prove to be very harmful overall to the future development of Indianola. The city website describes tax abatement in your urban revitalization plan as a long-term increase in our tax base by encouraging new construction, which might not have occurred otherwise. Please keep that in mind, that should tax abatement be removed entirely, the continuation of new construction in our community may not continue at the rate it currently is and prove to have unintended financial consequences. Thank you all for your time.
Anyone else in the audience?
Hello. I was not planning on speaking tonight, since it's a ghost, but I feel like I have a different perspective, and so I would like to speak on it. Sorry, Tiffany Davis, 1208 South 3rd Street. I want to speak on the fact of someone that you saw the girls in here tonight. I moved here before they were even a twinkle in my eye. We were freshly 21, looking for a home, and as she stated, there's not a lot of homes that are affordable at 21 years old. And I understand that, but at the same time, we found a home that was within our price range, that we could afford, and it was not abatement saving me $200 a month. It was, I want to live here for the long run. I need to look at my long-term finances. So that's a 30-year mortgage. So if I can't afford that, that's something I don't buy, right? That being said, I have worked in the mortgage industry since I was 18 years old. Most recently of those 12 years has been liquidation. So foreclosure, short sale, deed in lieu, when people are behind on their mortgage. Obviously, I'm not gonna give names of where I work or anything like that, but much of those reasons that they cannot afford that home anymore is that abatement has ended and they can no longer afford their home. So looking at a perspective of that, I totally understand it's part of people's jobs, it's part of my everyday job, selfishly. Yeah, let's abate everybody, because then I'm gonna be having a job for the rest of my life, right? So I think we need to look at the fact of what other reasons do we have for people to live here? I was one of those people that drove 35 minutes each way downtown every single day to drive to my job, but I didn't choose Indianola because I had abatement. I chose Indianola for other reasons, the schools for my future family, what this town has to offer with our downtown, things like that. So I think we also need to look at, yes, it's nice to have that available, but it comes with the ebb and flow of our jobs. They're changing. We start teaching about other things that are available in this town, and that's not abating a property to get them here in my eyes. And I think, as Bryce spoke to, we have an amazing communications system that we can now get the word out there of TIF. We can work with people to get other homes. I don't think we're just gonna stop having homes being built here. I think it needs to come in the way of, this isn't just a one-sided thing anymore. This needs to be a whole team effort of now getting the word out of not only what Indianola has to offer, but okay, now we also have these TIF, and some people might not know how to use that. So I think being in a time where we just want to text someone, we pick up the phone and we get with those developers, we build those relationships, and they understand how they can also come to Indianola. And it's not, as a homeowner, yes, it saves you a little bit of money, but that's not the main reason that we should be building a home, right? I know that sounds harsh, but with what I do for a living, I feel like that's maybe made the heart a little more cold on that. So that's what I would like to speak to as well.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, sorry, I'm fresh off an airplane, so I have no notes. So my name's Dawn Edwards. I'm with Realty One and Jerry's Homes.
Okay.
So we are a builder in this area, and I will be honest with you. I have no skin in the game. If you guys, we don't build down here, then I'll just move to another community. I also build in Norwalk. I've done Carlisle. We built in all the areas where they have done away with the tax abatement, and it has hurt them. The reason it has not probably affected Norwalk and Carlisle as much is because of the proximity to Des Moines. But if you talk to Adel, Bondurant, some of those other neighborhoods that we currently would build and offer tax abatement in, they have suffered. Adel is just now starting to pick up their building permits and that type of thing from doing away with their tax abatement maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And that's, let's be honest, is probably because Waukee is knocking at their door. If the abatement right now doesn't work, I do agree, it's probably good to look at that and maybe adjust it. As far as TIFs, we all know that the homeowner's not gonna get the TIFs. So I do disagree with her as far as it not bringing people down here. I do feel like since Indianola is one of the only communities that has tax abatement left, you get a lot more eyes like, hey, what does it look like? What are the schools? What are those type of things? So my recommendation would be, if you are going to do away with it, then maybe reduce it and come up with maybe a 4 or 5 year, hey, we're gonna do away with it. So that way, you know, it just kind of eases into that. Because I'll be honest, if you just kind of sharp cut it off, communities, again, like Bondurant, Adel, those type of communities, it has affected them. So I probably have a lot more, but it's at my office and I didn't have time to stop and get it. So I apologize. But thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other community comments from the public? Council, any other comments from us? From direction here?
So Bryce,
Yes, sir.
if we get rid of it and we, you know, don't see the builds happening, this can come back, correct? So we do have that ability because we're keeping in the abatement for the existing homes for rehab 10% over the value. So, when 2028 or 9 or something like that, because this wouldn't take place till 27, if the council at that time, wanted to revisit it, they would have the ability to.
That's kind of a strategic move on our part to retain, not just because other communities have retained their their abatements for existing structures or existing residential properties. It's also an opportunity where we can quickly make the change again if we need to. If we were to do away with the entire plan, it'd be a much more extensive public hearing process. So it's definitely strategic, as Councilmember Armstrong was saying.
As far as keeping it in for existing?
Yeah, because it would just take, if we wanted to include it and add it back in, and sometime down the road, it'd take the same process we're doing right now, one public hearing, resolution, approve it, and on we're going.
Otherwise, it'd take 3 readings and the whole 9 yards. It might take 2 months, 3 months to get it done.
And I think there are also some merit to pointing out, a lot of the growth that we're seeing right now is all TIF driven. We look at Emerald Bay and Summercrest, Kentucky Ridge, all that development is TIF driven. I think that is, again, just another tool in our toolbox. It's obviously not an end all be all, just like abatement. It had its useful life, and now we have an opportunity to get more creative in incentivizing builders.
Ron, you had a question?
Maybe more of a comment. So I know I've said this before, but I'm one of the, I don't know, maybe success stories of tax abatement. So when we bought our second house, it was a new construction north of Wilder there, and in my probably my mid-20s, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to afford this house type of deal. But moving into a house with an abatement did allow me and my wife to keep working, move up in our positions, so our income increased. So by the time the abatements hit, we were able to afford it. We probably could have afforded it before, but I'm a guy that worries about the money. So I agree with what Emily Landman has said. I moved out of a Maxima courthouse, right, and into a new house. So that then allowed someone to move into the community to get a smaller, less expensive house, right? Of course, back then I didn't sit on the council. I'm not responsible for budget over an entire city like I am now. I am just concerned about scrapping it altogether. I'm more in favor of a 3-year model. Something Josh had stated, back in September, I think, when we first started having these conversations was, you can easily shut the spigot off, but just because you turn it back on doesn't mean it's gonna start running again, right? It could take years and years for development to start being active again. So that comment has stuck with me.
And I would pick up on that, Ron, just in the sense that I'm at the other end of the spectrum than most of you for buying and selling houses, but having moved a couple of years ago, even at this glowing age, we've benefited from tax abatement for a couple of years in the property we bought. But the people that bought our home stepped up significantly, and I think it's because of just, I don't know where they started out, if they start out with abatement anywhere and bought a house, but they haven't been in a home like the one they purchased from us before. I know that, and so I think that's the impact to me abatement has to it. And I think that because of our current situation, the 5-year program's too rich. And even going with the 3-year model, 75, 60, 45, is that right? I don't have that answer either, and I think that's what makes this hard for all of us. It's a great unknown. Maybe we won't even see a drop. My gut tells me we will. Is it 20%? Is it 10? Is it 30? Nobody knows, but the woman who spoke about being different than Norwalk and Carlisle, I have felt all along, and I've called this place home for a long time, albeit at different times. And I don't want to grow to where we're a part of the metro. I think that's one of the beauties of this city. So, but I do think with, along with the amenities that Tiffany's pointed out, whether it's the schools, the parks, the trails, the square. Having something like this in our quiver for a 3-year model, to me, makes a lot of sense.
Right, you mentioned some of the developments that are benefiting from TIF. Aren't those primarily commercial developments at this point?
Yes, they are.
I just want like to call that out clearly. I mean, it's an incredibly useful tool for commercial development.
The ones with the housing development part in them, though, do not qualify for abatements.
Yep, and
We
I
have
think,
Wesley Life.
Like Emerald Bay.
Yep.
I don't know the current timeline of some of those, but I think most of the residential components of those developments seem to be moving very slowly. It's at least watching our permit reports, development, like the commercials out and going, the residential's coming behind a little slow. You could sit here for 3 more hours and argue me into multiple different answers here as to what's right. There's a ton of unknowns. I do agree, and I that is my overarching concern is that it is very easy to shut development off. It's not easy to start it back up again. So I think, even when we looked at the exercise we just went through on Friday, all of us here, you guys missed a great meeting for like 4.5 hours on Friday. Of goal setting and different things. One of the things we talked a lot about was, compromise. And sometimes both extremes maybe aren't the right answer. And the right answer is somewhere in the middle to start and see where we're at. I have become a lot more open-minded to a 3-year abatement. Looking at the graph here that we talked about earlier, a 3-year abatement plan of some sort, assuming there is a reduction in builds, we still come out ahead. And if there's no reduction with a 3-year abatement, we definitely come out ahead. I agree that we need to get more of that year one money into our system faster. And I'd be open to, I don't know how much you play with those numbers, Bryce. That's probably a spreadsheet you've created somewhere that's quickly redoes that stuff, whether 75 the first year is the right number or 50 the first year is the right number. Kind of talking in circles a little bit, but again, I think we can sit here and we can argue ourselves into either extreme being right, and we're probably all right. That's where I kind of get to like, well, maybe the right answer is somewhere in the middle then. That a little bit for everybody.
Bryce, maybe the realtors in this room can answer this question too, but with the state law changing July 1 of 2024, any of those houses that are in abatement that started abatement in 24 have not received any tax bills yet. And so those homes will receive a tax bill, but it will be for the school district only, if I'm correct?
Yep, so approximately next year, they'll receive a tax bill for, the average new home assessed at $350,000, they're gonna get a $3,000 tax bill. So we need
Is
to
there
be.
any way again, I'm not trying to, again, maybe the realtors can answer this, but I don't know if they've talked to those homeowners about the fact that they will receive a tax bill. Because I'm sure we're gonna get the calls when that does happen. And listen, I've been sitting here and I don't have a vote, but I listen to your thing and you can go the 3-year on just existing, or you can do, it sounds to me like you got 4 options here. I do want to make one last comment, though. We have to remember that abatement does ask all city taxpayers to pay for police, fire, emergency services, library, wellness center, and those that don't, are abated, don't pay those taxes. So you're kind of asking those Indianola residents to take over that. Understanding that, you've got four options as I see it. You eliminate abatement, which is one of your proposals, keep a 3-year for existing only, or keep a 3-year and make changes like Josh is suggesting, or keep it as it is. So I think you really got four options here, and maybe we can come up with a compromise here that works for everybody, I don't know.
So the way that the amendment is written today would be to retain that 5-year slide-in for existing construction. Just make sure that that's, I guess, kind of option 5, if you would.
And so legal's recommendation would be if you're going to change that, right? If you want to do something different, I think you can discuss it here and maybe reach some idea of a consensus, but that we would suggest that we go back, amend the language of the resolution and bring it back again to vote on. It's just going to be cleaner to have the actual language that we're looking for in the resolution in front of us when we vote. So.
So you're saying that the January meeting would be the one where we make a final decision?
I would recommend that.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may add another comment, I did have some meetings with realtors, and they were unaware of the July 2024 changes to the state code requiring state.
They were unaware?
They were unaware of it. So up until that conversation, I'm not sure what things have been said, but, you know, I am fielding phone calls that said, hey, I thought I'd had no tax abatement, and then I have to go through this conversation of, well, actually, you don't have any city taxes, you still have to pay school taxes in the future, and that kind of changes their decision-making process, or would have.
I'd like to make a motion to exit the public hearing.
I actually have a couple things I'd like to say first, if that's okay. So we all know tax abatement is great for the people who are looking to buy the homes in the range of over $300,000. But what does that do for the people who are of the actual median household income in the city? It makes it unattainable to own a home. They don't get any kind of tax abatement when they buy a home that already exists. And I have a real issue with the fact that the people who probably struggle the most are carrying the weight of paying for our public services. I don't think that's right. I think everybody who lives in this city should have to bear some of that responsibility. I apologize, I am struggling with a cold, so. One of the other things I would point out, like somebody had mentioned Adel suffered because they did away with it. They're also 26.7 miles from the heart of Des Moines. Indianola is 17. We're also only 12 miles from the south side. I don't think it's gonna have quite the impact on us that other towns like Adel may have seen. There are so many programs that we already work with within Des Moines that are down here. I just don't see that being the issue. We have a lot of TIF projects. And I think that's going to be majority of where our homes are being built right now, if they continue in the progress that they're going. So that would be my 2 cents.
And to add to that, just to kind of build on what you're saying, so when we abate a home, that the property taxes that those homeowners aren't paying are really, their neighbors are paying, right? I mean, that essentially. So that's something that, and we're hearing that everyone wants lower property taxes. And as we're being pushed to do more with less, it's just a constant struggle to figure out how we make that happen. Listen, we've had a lot of ideas thrown out, and I too am mulling them all over, trying to figure out which one is right. But I keep going back to our taxpayers are asking for tax reform and tax relief. And here we are asking, wanting to abate taxes for people building new homes. And the taxes that we abate are going to the existing taxpayers.
I think that the conundrum, and I understand what you're saying, Melissa, and I get it, but I think the conundrum in trying to figure all that out is, do you get enough growth out of the abatement, right? That's the real question. I go back to the first conversation, at least I was involved with the council when we talked about it. And Melissa, I think you were the one that even said abatement was started to help with the goals of urban revitalization. Because I asked you, I said, being new, I said, so what are our goals? The answer was, well, there weren't any specific goals. And I think that's creating some of this for all of us as well.
Right, but I think it was also created though to provide affordable housing. You know, and
Yeah.
so when you're no longer building the affordable housing, it kind of negates the purpose.
I think that's some of what Dalby was talking about. I mean, again, I sit here and waffle every way, but, you know, the affordable house, in your example that you lived in, became available because you went to the next step up. And, you know, so again, it's like chicken and the egg, you know, and I guess if fairness is part of the argument here, is it fair then to keep it for remodels then too? You know, if fairness is an argument that we're making, where do you draw the line on fairness and what's fair?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with doing away with them for both. So,
I mean, so I think that's
I
part
mean,
of the discussion. Now, if you do that, then it creates a longer process to the argument that Armstrong made earlier, that you can bring it back. You can, it just takes longer than if you don't, and I don't have a good exit to that, to what I was just saying there. I'll just, it's just, I don't know, we're talking about fairness and it
Well,
feels weird.
When we talked about keeping it for rehabilitation, our goal was, I mean, the reason we kept it was because we wanted to have a goal of rehabilitation and focusing on that. And it's achieved through incentivizing.
Problem I'm sorry, Melissa, are you finished there?
Sure.
I think the problem we have is we don't know what the effect of the state eliminating the school portion of abatement is going to do in the future for tax abatement. That's one of the problems we have.
Mm-hmm.
We have no data on that. We don't know that. In fact, it's not really there because it really hasn't happened yet. Josh made a point that I think still is worth a little bit of a discussion. Is that compromise isn't bad. You know, we always can go in and relook at this I mean, it's not fun for everybody to change things all the time. But we can go back and set a timeline that we look at this. If we do a 3-year thing, we can look at it again in a year or 2 years, once we have data to see where we are. You know, look, folks, we're all in a different position here. I'm gonna suggest that we try to find some compromise here, if possible. If not, that's understandable too. But to the points being made by different folks here that, you know, if you take that abatement down to 60-40-20 in a 3-year system, you get 40% up front. Ron, was those the numbers you ran, was 60-40-20, or what numbers did you
I
run?
have it right here. The slide said 75, 60, 45.
Okay.
And that was just you could obviously amend them further from there if you want.
Right. Then you keep it on existing and you keep it on new home construction, but or you folks, you get the votes. I'm just throwing things out here, ideas and spitballing things, but we probably need to decide a little bit here before we go into this next section, which is really the resolution itself, and then figure out where we want to go from there.
Bryce, are you able to bring up that slide from your presentation?
Which one?
The presentation that you did for us in the work session?
The modeling impact.
While he's working on that,
I'm not,
can I just play devil's advocate here for just another second?
Sure.
Yeah, you mentioned fairness.
Hold on here, let's get, I want everybody to pay attention, so, okay, go ahead.
So fairness was mentioned. you know,
Absolutely.
And if we're gonna do a sliding scale of abatement, well, fairness would be that every person who purchases a home in our city should receive abatement. I mean, if you really wanna go fair.
Yeah, that's true.
Because why is it fair that the person who probably is struggling to buy your house that you're selling has to pay taxes for their, the school, the city, the county, everything, right? But you're buying a brand new home and you don't have to. I just don't see how that is fair.
I think we're muddying the waters a little bit. I mean, it's about urban revitalization. It's to continue growth, not, so I think that's kind of how we need to gear it.
I just think there's other ways that we could get there.
So Norwalk built over 300 homes this year with no abatement. So I'm gonna go ahead and still make the motion to exit this public hearing. That way we can get out of it and then we can decide what we're gonna do on the resolution. We're still in the public hearing, in case anybody forgot.
No, no.
So
We can discuss it as we get in the next section here, because that's the actual resolution, so.
I guess I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Beach,
Aye.
Sons,
Aye.
Lane,
Aye.
Ray,
Aye.
Dalby,
Aye.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Okay, we are on the actual resolution itself, and what you wanna do here, whether or not you wanna decide to.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve resolution adopting the proposed amendment number 2 to the amend and restated 1998 citywide urban revitalization plan for the 1998 citywide urban revitalization area.
As it's written.
Yep. Let's vote on it.
Which does away with.
So this is to do away with it altogether, right? Okay.
Other than for the existing homes. Let's just vote on it.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just, maybe to your point, Steve, where we're talking about compromise and not having any data yet to really lean on. I think that 3-year model gives us that. We'll have data, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I just don't know.
Hey, Bryce, could I just interject?
Michael?
Who is that?
Michael Maloney.
The man behind the
Wow,
curtain.
that's an experience.
Hey, folks, I've been listening to the conversation. I just want to reiterate something from last month's meeting, which I appreciate the goal for compromise here tonight, but the idea of moving from the abatement scale to no abatement on new houses was to shift the policy to allow staff to be able to facilitate development. The abatement policy is for new houses citywide, and the TIF use for residential development, which is also set in the state code to incentivize low to moderate income housing, what can be used for others, money needs to be set aside for that. It also allows staff and council to dictate where that development happens and help better facilitate the implementation of infrastructure throughout the community, which will save the money for the community by being more strategic going forward. So I just want to make sure that that got reiterated from our conversation a month ago before the folks vote. Thanks for letting me interject.
Well, thank you for the information.
Thank you.
I agree. So it's very important to make that.
So just to refer, Michael, if you're still on there, just so I don't screw this up, but basically TIF allows you have, if you TIF a residential area, 30% of the funds go into a low and moderate income housing. They can be used in any portion of the city of Indianola.
Unless the projects themselves are deemed for the purpose of low to moderate income. Yes, it's one way or the other, those dollars, or at least a portion thereof, must be used for those purposes.
Thank you. Yes.
Let's have him state for, everything who.
Oh, that was Michael Maloney. Will you tell us who you were, please?
Yep, Michael Maloney, DA Davidson, I'm a financial consultant for the city.
Thank you. Thank you, Allison.
Disembodied voice.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, clerk call the roll, please.
Councilmember Beach,
Aye.
Sones,
Aye.
Lane,
Nay.
Rabe,
No.
Dalby,
No.
Armstrong.
Aye.
Motion fails 3-3. So what do you want to do? I have a question for you, Allison. Since this failed, are we able to talk about anything else, or do we have to put this off then until the next meeting?
We would need to put it on.
So the motion
Because we
failed.
have no other resolution in front of
Correct.
us.
And no item on the agenda for discussion of any other options. Okay, thank you. All right.
We could do direction to staff.
I think they've got the future agenda items. I think they could
Then you
use
could
that.
give direction to staff in that future agenda items,
Okay,
if there's an idea of what you want them to come back with.
thank you. Thank you. I just want to make sure we are following the IPIB rules. Thank you very much. City managers report.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe a community event that we have this week that I don't remember hearing before. On Friday, December 19th at 2 p.m., IMU will be doing the groundbreaking and opening of their solar facility. It is a 4.1 megawatt solar facility. The event, as I mentioned, will be at 2 p.m. The location is 1602 South K Street. They will be serving snacks and hot chocolate for anyone who would like to attend that commissioning ceremony. Just a couple other items. I want to thank staff, mayor, and council for excellent discussion last week on the goal setting session. I know that's come up before. We will get a final report from our consultant, Patrick Callahan, who will facilitate that, and we will bring that forward for council review and action. As I said, we anticipate that coming forward in January. I want to thank all of our crew and staff who provided another great snow response here recently, and appreciate the community for your patience. We did issue 36 citations for those that were in violation of the parking ban. So just encourage all in the community to visit www.indianolaiowa.gov/winter. You can sign up for alerts and learn all about our winter operations planning. So hopefully we can avoid those citations in future events. Although I'm pretty sure that was our last snowfall for the year, so this will all be
Optimism.
Last item I have is just a reminder on our holiday schedules. The administration offices will be closed on December 24th and 25th, as well as January 1st. A number of our buildings have altered schedules, whether you're looking at the Activity Center or IWC. So I'd encourage folks to visit the city's website. On the bottom in our news flash, we've got all those laid out well for the community. So if you want to kind of see and understand what some of those operational hours are for city facilities and functions during this holiday time, I would encourage folks to do that.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna add one other thing onto there, Jake, if I can, just a second, that, there are still opportunities to bell ring for the Salvation Army, that the money does stay in Warren County and Indianola as well. Any money raised, is used by We Lift and, other organizations here in the community, so if anybody can do that, you can get online or contact Sue Wilson, she can get you signed up and get you going too, so. Discussion and on new items. Where do you want to go? You want to get some direction here on meeting in January for a tax abatement?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love the opportunity to discuss it more personally. I feel like we kind of got cut off there a little bit. I think there's some better understanding that I could probably gain on how TIF can be utilized. I think there's just a lot of layers to this onion, and I don't know that any of us have the singular right answer in front of us. So I don't really know how to give you great direction, other than it'd be great to talk about it again at some point in the future. I'll try to have better thoughts at some point. How's that, Dolby?
Very clear.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mayor and council, to that end, just going through the conversation, if we look at compromise and perhaps somewhere in the middle, two reoccurring items that were brought up is looking at a 75-60-45, which would align with the state annexation code, I believe it is. I also heard someone kind of throw out in passing a 60-40-20. It kind of seemed like there may be a little bit of interest in that 3-year model. So, at this time, it's a little speculative. I'm not sure how much difference there would necessarily be, but we could certainly work with Michael Maloney, and we could run at least those two scenarios if we kind of focus in a little bit more on those 2 3-year models. We can also kind of revisit tax increment financing a little bit as well, if that would maybe freshen the conversation a bit.
Is it possible to do a 2-year model? Is there anything legally that would prevent us?
Good.
Where you could look at a 2-year model with a 50-25?
Anything is possible at some point. It's just a matter of how much, we're kind of moving the needle at some point, because we could model any number of scenarios, but I also want to be respectful of kind of staff times and Michael's time as well to kind of show these things, but all those are certainly possibilities.
Okay, well, let's plan on bringing it back then in January. I do want to also, I sent all of you, I hope I did, the presentation from the National League of Cities on the civility piece that I attended there in Salt Lake City. Did I send those all to you folks? No? Haven't gotten it out yet? Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay, so I actually have the slide presentations from that particular program. What the program basically talks about is what's called public comment and what's called limited public comment. And the recommendation from the folks in the National League of Cities, and when I say limited, please don't think it meaning that you're gonna limit that people can get up and talk about items that are in front of the council. Don't take it that way. But what it means is that you put very clear items in your policy for discussion and comment, public comment, so that certain things like, for instance, it has to be something that's applicable to what the city council has authority over. For instance, roads or streets or those kinds of things that are within our community, rather than somebody coming in here and railing on immigration or something along that line, which we have no authority to deal with. So that's kind of a thing here as you get a chance to look at it. I would like to maybe bring that back to a council meeting somewhere, and Allison, I hope that we have that to you folks as well, so you can take a look at that. It was presented by Todd Sheeran. Todd is a lawyer. Todd has, and I'll forward it to you, Allison. But he has examples from all over the country about where people come in and just do crazy things in front of councils. And also other ways of striking things that cause problems in council meetings. So I just want us to think about maybe getting ahead of the curve, because some of the civility issues, we haven't been affected by that. Everybody that speaks here tonight has been great. Appreciate the comments. And has been through the entire time I've been on the council, the last 4 years and as mayor. So, but I just want to make sure we can't protect ourselves if we don't have a policy in place. And that's really what this is all about. So I'll make sure I get that to all the council members and to you, Allison, as well.
That'd be great, thank you.
Anything else for the good of the order here?
I do have one thing that I would like to propose as a future discussion topic, and that is team building. Jake and I just touched on it. Team building exercise for council, team building between us and staff. Something to talk about in the future.
Okay.
I don't really have anything to add for the discussion and action, but I would like to say it's been an honor to serve with all of you. Gonna miss you guys and do great things.
I will say that it's been our privilege to serve with you too, so thank you very much.
I think one of the things that people don't understand is that you build strong friendships through this, right? I have built some lifelong friends from being up here, and Christina is one of them. Her and I get along great. I enjoy talking to her outside of council and stuff all the time, so she's just a wonderful person, and it's one of the benefits of being able to be on a council and spending so much time with these people.
Well, I think we can all adjourn here as soon as we have.
Mayor, one more thing.
Okay.
As a follow-up to our goal-setting session, we had talked a little bit about city attorney with a new council member coming on board and some folks getting reelected, using this opportunity to do a little bit of refresher training just on being the role of council member. I did reach out to Erin. She is very busy. She's got a number of other clients. She's also got a number of collective bargaining processes that she's running, so she's very busy. Just kind of gauging from our past surveying of council, it seems that Friday afternoons seems to work best with just some of the different jobs that folks hold. So just wanted to put it out there that Erin said the training would take probably about an hour, hour and a half. And she's currently available on January 9th, 23rd, or 30th if we want to go ahead and nail down a time. If folks want to check their calendar now, that'd be great. If it's too much pressure, you can let me know offline. But I did want to let you know that she is very booked, and she said the sooner we could calendar something, the better. And I did want to set a goal of still getting that in January.
Say mine now so I don't forget to give it to you later. I'm unavailable the 9th. I'm 80% sure I'm good on the 23rd, and I'm 100% good on the 30th.
I don't put a single thing on my calendar.
Whatever work.
Don't know.
I'm good for the 9th at 30th.
I check my work calendar and tell you tonight. I'll log on tonight and let you know.
Right now, it seems like the 30th may be our winner, if that works for a couple of folks that haven't been able to look yet.
Exciting.
I think I'm free on any one of those, so.
30th would probably be best, because I probably won't have meetings scheduled at this point.
I'm free, but I don't gotta be there. So.
Yeah.
We'll be open to the public, you can come anyway.
You can come and stay.
I would take a motion to adjourn, and then remind everybody again, you're welcome to all join us at the Brick House upstairs here as we move forward. Motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second, motion's a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries.
I do the trick.